Much Land Does a Man Need is a story about a man's greed for land. But in a bigger picture, it's about greed, period. It tells the story of someone who becomes so obsessed with a single desire that they lose perspective everything else around them. And I'm sure that that message was important 120 years ago in Russia, but I think it's probably even more important and valuable now.
I was sitting there, I was completely engrossed watching it on the big screen. People around me were moving and really enjoying the music, and there was a real buzz going out of the theater with people talking about what they had just experienced. It was really incredible.
I thought it was really interesting where the footage was coming from, and that it was out west, and it had this nice contrast between, you're seeing these beautiful hillsides and rolling hillsides and everything, but you're also seeing the industrialization of that.
Going near to the chief, Pavel asked, "What are you laughing at?" But he saw that it was no longer the chief, but the dealer who had recently stopped at his house and had told him about the land.
There were times when there would be a change in the story, sometimes with these masks that Jamie had made, and then some music to accompany, and I just got chills. I was like, oh wow, that's the devil. And the mallets on the floor tom are kind of enhancing that feeling of devil, just like the mask is. So it's really cool how it just all came together as this exploration. And because it's a multimedia thing, you're being brought on an adventure in a way that you couldn't with just one of the elements.
This performance draws upon a lot of different sources. It's related to Russian literature. It says something about environmental issues. It certainly has a lot to do with music, composed music, and improvised music. It says something about our American landscape. One of the goals that I wanted to accomplish was, of course, to not be too overbearing with the music, but to really allow the narrator to tell the story and to support the narration of the story with music that really fit the moment.
He could have used a bunch of subtitles, or he could have narrated it himself, but instead he found this woman, which according to the guidebook, not only does she have a Russian accent, but it's a woman who is a Russian literature genius who taught at Harvard and MIT and Wellesley. And if anyone is going to know that story, it's that woman. So then in this second part of the multimedia presentation, again, he's taken it he's taken it further than one would expect.
It often happens that people who are wealthy one day are begging their bread the next. Our way is safer. Though a peasant's life is not a fat one, it's a long one. We shall never grow rich, but we shall always have enough to eat.
In all of the best ways, it reminded me of the original cinema, with the screen and the moving images and the live band playing music in front of the screen.
They on the hillock could still see it. He took a long breath and ran up the hillock.
How do we make it possible? We were driving around the country in a van and a trailer, going from gig to gig. We're pretty much racing from one.
We just saw How Much Land Does a Man Need in the Flint space, and I enjoyed it very much. I think it was an ideal beginning for a new chapter in the history of JFP.
It was a really amazing experience. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting at all, which is a very good sign.
His legs gave way beneath him. He fell forward and reached the cap of his hand. "Ah, that's a fine fellow," exclaimed the chief. "He has gained much."
James Joyce once said that Leo Tolstoy's How Much Land Does a Man Need was the finest short story ever written. It was written in the 1880s, and it's a story of how greed and materialism is the undoing of a Russian peasant farmer who tries to acquire as much land as he can.